Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, so thanks, Tash, for covering that off. I was going to have to explain why I'm not Carly. I'm Scot McRae. I'm the co-founder of Candidate ID. I was going to talk with Carly on the importance of personalisation, even at scale. And Carly's given me all her stuff, so I can cover off that bit for her, hopefully, although I won't be as entertaining as Carly. But what it also enables me to do is share some of the stuff from Dialogue and Cielo around personalisation at scale in tech with software engineers, okay? So hopefully I'm going to be able to give you twice as much as we could have done with Carly in terms of things to think about and things to take away. So I'm going to start a little bit about why we love and hate tech recruiting, and that'll be mainly Carly's bit. And then I'm going to talk about the new candidate journey, the importance of personalising your approach to talent, action switch to increase success, sources of information, some landing tools from Fisher Tools, and how to scale this up whilst retaining as much personalisation as possible. What I'm really going to focus on as well is, though, I'm really going to focus on the bit that is pre-conversation and pre-application, okay? Because really, personalisation, once you're talking to them, once you've had a conversation with them, or once they've engaged with you and they've started to send their information in and you're able to have a conversation with them, if you're not good at being personal at that bit and from that stage on, which is a lot about what Gary was talking about, and particularly getting STEM, and what Bonnie was talking about, getting women into STEM, if you're not good at doing that bit, then you shouldn't be here. You should be doing something else, okay? Because I'm not from recruitment, and I'm not Tom from talent acquisition. I'm from business to business demand gen. And the thing I've really loved about talent acquisition and recruitment is it's entirely a people business. It's all about people, okay? So if you're not good at that bit post-conversation, then really you shouldn't be here. So I'm going to talk about the bit about how you do personalisation at scale in the pre-conversation, in the pre-apply bit, in the pipelining bit, okay, in the bit which is about building talent pools, building talent pipelines, etc., and how you do it there. Now, the reason that is so important is really threefold. Is the first thing is that we're all human, okay? So we behave as humans, okay? So, and we take what we experience in our human lives, in our lives as consumers, consuming things, we take that into everything that we do, okay? So moving job or moving career is a really important thing, okay? It's probably one, apart from moving house, I think it's like the most stressful, so it's a really complex decision for us to do. So in that sense, we behave like other individuals that are making complex decisions, and those other individuals that are making complex, long kind of decisions are exactly the same way as buyers behave in a business-to-business environment, okay? And they go through a certain number of stages, okay? Okay, so we're behaving like that, and I'm going to talk in a lot more detail about that. But we also are very aware of where organisations do it really well to us. Okay, everybody is there's so many great organisations that are out there, and there's so many people that are great at using technology, and we all know when we have a great experience. Like I had a great experience last winter when British Gas came to service my boiler, and the way they did it in terms of using tech and text messages, and and it was very personalised, and it was great. So I take that as a new benchmark into how other organisations are going to treat me. Apple's excellent, at it. So there are certain organisations that are brilliant at it, okay, and we use that as our benchmark, okay, and we use that in our benchmark for whether it's just a kind of snappy consumer decision or whether it's a complex, more business-to-business type decision-making, which is what candidates are doing, okay? So people will be they will be benchmarking their experience with you, okay, as an organisation, and as an organisation that they're thinking about working for, and they'll be benchmarking that against the best that they've experienced in their consumer lives, okay? So that's number one, why it's important. Number two, why it's important is to do with candidate experience. We ran a webinar a couple of weeks ago with Jerry Crispin and Noel Brown and John Stanners, and there were some fascinating stats that came out of it around candidate experience. So if a candidate has a poor experience, he will share it verbally with his inner circle, at least 6 or 7 of his closest kind of friends or personal friends and associates. So any bad experience just gets amplified. Now, Noel told us, there's all the Virgin Media stats that you know about and things like that, but Noel told us that for Thermo Fisher Scientific, globally 400,000 people drop out of their application process, predominantly 90% due to poor candidate experience, okay? Now, of those 400,000, so those 400,000 are also saying they had a shit experience to 6 other people, okay? But of those 400,000, they estimated that 20% of them were either current customers or future customers of Thermo Fisher Scientific. So you think about the potential impact to the business of somebody that has a poor candidate experience in that pre-conversation, pre-apply phase, okay, as well. And the third reason that it's, actually I'll come back to the third reason. So we're going to talk a lot about this. So why we love and hate tech recruiting, okay? Now this bit we're going to start with Carly's stuff, okay? So she says she loves it because it's fascinating. It's just amazing what the power of tech can do. The stories that she gets from engineers around what they can create. So she had one candidate, one software engineer, who wanted to grow the best tasting tomatoes in Denmark because he was from Romania and they have the best tomatoes. So he wrote a software program that would measure the sunlight stroke day and the quantities of water required for each plant to grow optimally in Copenhagen. So this, you know, when you're engaging with people who are software engineers and the ideas that they come up with and the things that they can do, it's just really intellectually stimulating. The other thing is that the rate of change in tech talent recruiting is just phenomenal. There's always something new to learn, even for a recruiter. You're not expected to know it all, because if you did, you'd probably be doing the job, but you have to be able to understand them as people and what the roles are so that you can talk about it competently. So it's a very tough part of recruiting. It's very intellectually stimulating, etc. Why do you hate it? Okay. It requires a lot of effort. You've got to reach out to candidates, engage them, really understand the differences in the tech, and you have to spend a lot of time searching through profiles to get to know the person behind the profile. There's a lot of rate of change in the industry. She said that she stopped, hiring for React engineers for a while because it wasn't a priority, but there were roles to focus on, which was a rookie mistake, because pretty soon after that, everyone wanted React, and the salary shifted massively for certain skills. So, in Carly's point of view, it's really satisfying when you get it right, but it's so competitive and it's really tough. And I would just, counsel that from our experience. We love it because it's hard, okay? And when it's hard, it's when you really have to think, and when you really have to think, it's when you really learn stuff. Okay, so, but doing it at scale, and personalisation is really, so we all want personalisation, okay? And each of us as individuals could nurture about 100 people one-to-one, okay? We could get to know them in depth, we could prompt them, we could message them and everything, and that's fine, okay? And that's fine if you only want to talk to 100 people and you're going to be able to fill the roles that you have from those 100 people, but the minute that you've got to talk to more than 100 people, it starts to get really challenging. Starting to do personalisation at scale gets really challenging. So I want to show you this film.
Now this is your last chance. If one piece of candy gets past you and into the packing room unwrapped, you're fired.
Yes, ma'am. So this is easier. Yeah,
So this is easy at the moment.
Okay.
This is the 100.
Here she comes.
Fine, you're doing splendidly. Speed it up a little!
Okay, so you get the parallel, okay? It's really tough to do it at scale. It's really easy to mess it up. And when you mess it up, it's really easy to piss a lot of people off and start going backwards, okay? Especially when you're doing kind of broadcast spray and pray. So Carly sent me a couple examples of what's basically broadcast, post and pray. These are engineers. These are, talented software developers down in the West Country working for Crowdcube that got approached by a recruiter, okay? So, and these are this is the same message, right? Okay, and these are the replies from the developers, right? So, I've been hearing rumors that it grumbles about Crowdcube. I'm not sure if it's true, but it's nice ethical startup company. And so she sent this internally. So see, 3 of us got the same message with a hi, the same hi Danny at the top. For reference, when copying and pasting this message, please update the name at the very least. Schoolboy error. I said baby girl, got a couple of hours sleep, hadn't had enough coffee yet. Senior PHP developer. Hi Danny, hi Peter. We're looking for Jesus, Brian, you left the hi Peter in from when you copy and pasted this message to me. So tech people, okay, are, engineers, right? I've sold to engineers for decades, and they're a really, really prickly bunch. I mean, the only other people in the room that are more important than engineers are other engineers, okay? Everyone else they look down at. And software engineers are just a subset of engineers, okay? So the way that you talk, I mean, they're not quite as bad as academics, but the way that you talk to them is really, really important, okay? If you get the language wrong, if you make schoolboy errors like this, you are lost, you are dead in the water, okay? So, how you kind of engage them, etc., right at the start of the process is really, really important, okay? And it's getting worse, okay? So this is from CEB, and it looks at, what's happening in aggregate demand and what's happening in aggregate and supply, and this is in the UK, okay? So we're moving into, and certain roles are going to be up here, but we're certainly moving from here to here, okay? And 70%, so this stat in the bottom left, 70% of the jobs that were advertised last year by FTSE 100 companies were for the same 21 people. Okay, so the 70% of FTSE 100 companies are chasing the same 21 people. Now, a lot of those are engineering type roles, but there's also great sales roles, great marketing roles. So we're moving into hyper competition, okay? And it's getting harder to fill. So over the last 5 years, time to fill's grown by 32 days. After 5 months, there's still 25% of critical roles vacant. And most interestingly, the CEOs are starting to get involved. CEOs will tell you that the availability of key skills is one of the key inhibiting factors to business growth. Okay, and this is not going away. Okay, and one of the interesting things that I think is going to happen is you'll start to see board level and CEO involvement in talent acquisition and in recruitment, because it's exactly the same thing that happened 5 to 10 years ago in sales and marketing, where they will come and they will look for ROI and they will look for improvements in the process. So the big stuff, this is going back to what I started about at the top. The big thing that's changed, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the consumerization of the candidate journey, is that we're moving from not being able to get enough information in order to progress our decision making, okay, to all of the information for us to be able to progress our decision making being now out there, okay? And I mean, I can still remember as a kid, if my mum wanted to find out about mops, she just asked the guy that came to the door. Because there was a guy that sold mops door to door there, and he was the center of the mops universe. Now she can just go onto Amazon, okay, and she can just research all the mops that she wants, okay? So not that long ago, I mean, think about how much the world has changed in the last 5 years with smartphones, with 4G, with proliferation of social media networks, etc. So maybe about 5 years ago, it was really difficult to get enough information about Crowdcube or Dialogue to really kind of work out if that was going to be an interesting sort of proposition for you. Now it's all out there, okay? And people will not engage with organizations or with recruiters until they're ready to. So this is this in a little bit more detail. So if you think about it from the candidate's point of view, the first thing that they're interested in is, is Crowdcube or is Dialogue, is that the type of, what's happening in that sector? What's happening in semiconductors? Okay, as an industry, would that be an interesting industry to work in, an interesting sector to work in? How does Dialogue fit as part of that? Are they one of the leading forces? Are they moving forward? Are they going in the right direction? Is there a following wind behind them? So what does their CEO say? What are the quarterly earnings report? What are the industry saying about them? Is that the type of organization that would look good on my CV, be good for my career? Tick, okay? The next thing really around here is could I work there? Could I see myself in that company? Could I see myself in that environment? Where are the offices located? What do the offices look like? How are the teams organized? Who's the hiring manager? Who is the line manager? What does he say? What does he think? What's his personal brand like? What does the coffee taste like? So could I picture myself there? Okay? Tick. And then the last stage is really, right, well, what are they specifically offering me in terms of hard facts? What would the remuneration package look like? What would the benefits package look like? What are the current live opportunities? What does the career progression look like? Tick. So they're doing all this. They're doing all this on their own. They want to do all this on their own, because we're all doing that. We're all self-educating. We're all self-directing. I could challenge all of you to go and buy a 4x4 and come back to me in the morning. I'll pay for it, but you come back tomorrow morning and tell me which ones you want to buy and why. Okay, and some of you will come back and say I'd like a 5-year-old Shogun. Others will come back and say a 2-year-old Discovery. Others will come back and say I'd like a brand new Audi Q7. And you'll all have very, very specific reasons that you've researched that you won't even have visited the garage. Okay, and that's a complex decision. So we're doing all this on their own. So how is it that we can do it, okay, in a way that is personalised, okay, because we all want to be treated as individuals, and how is it that we can do it at scale, okay, and how is it that we can do it in a way that adapts to what the candidates want to do, which is self-educate and self-direct, and such that we lead the conversation with them, okay? Because this is not about, as organisations, it's not about being as good as Apple or as good as the best. It's just about being better at competition for the talent that you want to recruit, okay? So that it starts way back at that first touch point, okay? And even if, I mean, let's just take, you know, if you think about the type of people that some recruitment advertising might attract, okay? And how you word that. I mean, can anyone remember the words that Shackleton used in his advert? Okay? I mean, in terms of filtering people out and getting the right people, it's absolutely genius. So, men wanted for hazardous journey, low wages, bitter cold, long hours of complete darkness, safe return doubtful, honour and recognition in event of success. I mean, so that's just a small ad that was in the Times, I think. But you think about it's not personalised, but it's a form of personalisation because it's going to attract a certain type of individual. So it starts there. You've got programmatic advertising, which is all about getting the right advert in front of the right people at this kind of trigger point as well. But then how do you nurture them? Through here, okay? Now our 100 people, we could each do this, 100 people, ourselves. But our philosophy is that the humans are actually best at this bit. When you've got somebody who wants to talk to you, okay, because they've ticked all those 3 boxes about the industry, the sector, the organisation, the culture, the company, and the roles and the opportunities, and they want to talk to you, and they meet your hiring requirements, you can get them on the phone. And only humans are great at getting them on the phone and building a relationship, establishing trust, getting a conversation going and progressing that forward. So our belief is that we should just use technology to do all of this stuff and do all the heavy lifting and automate as much of this as possible, okay? So you need, I mean, all this bit here is perfectly managed by tech, ATS and good tech from here and everything, so, but you need stuff up here to help you. It doesn't matter what you get to do, but you need stuff to automate this because 63% of this is still manual, okay? And it's getting harder and harder and harder. So I'll go back one slide because one of the other problems that you've got as well is organisations are so terrified about candidate experience that they're, I think most of the stuff around candidate experience is the fact that you go on and you go to apply for it. It's so easy to find jobs now. I could just put in software engineer, Germany, C++, plus Java, and I get about 50 kind of roles that I could then go and apply to. So it's so easy for me to find roles and apply for them. And a lot of the kind of poor experience stuff is around there's like 20 forms because the ATS is rubbish and you've got to fill out all this information. It takes 20, 25 minutes and I can't be bothered. So they're trying to sort all that out. Netflix's application process is down to 2 minutes. Okay? Thermo Fisher Scientific's is currently 15 and they're trying to get it down to 5. Okay? So they're trying to make it easier to apply. So it's so much easier to find and also apply now that actually you're going to get, organisations are getting flooded with applications and poor quality applications that they've got to filter through, which is really challenging as well. Okay, so these are some of the slides that Noel talks about in terms of the consumerisation of recruitment, and they're really trying to deliver personalised, relevant, and a sustained dialogue between the recruiter and the candidate, wherein a readily available of talent pipeline waits at the same time as being able to search, need-based search for a single candidate to fill a single position. Well, that's what they're striving to do. And they're striving against this background, unemployment at 77-year low. It now takes circa 58 days to hire. An average cost is about 4,000. Candidates taking consumer behaviour, reviewing up to 16 sources of information. And as I talked about, taking their consumer experience across into the candidate experience. He shared this incredible quote, which I just think sums it up perfectly. Will increasingly be at the core of any recruitment efforts from now on. The only way to be prepared is to be agile today and to assess and adapt accordingly. Because the candidate's journey is not, everybody thinks that if our total addressable market for this software engineering role in Reading is 1,000 people, we think. we expect them all to behave linearly, okay? And they don't behave linearly. The candidate journey is like, we call it the flight of the bumblebee. It just dots about. They just go, you know, from Instagram to Facebook to YouTube, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, careers page, back to the site. Okay, they're just dotting about all the time. So you have to be able to deliver this in an omni-channel environment, okay? And our philosophy is that you can't really work out who is it that you should focus in on, who are the, and we call the spear phishing, who is it that you should, how can you identify people that are ready to talk right now unless you're tracking and observing and scoring all of the stuff that's happening in the flight of the bumblebee, okay? So we always start with, and I've left the word up, buyer personas. Specifically, I haven't changed it to candidate personas because this is a buyer's market. Okay, if you go back to hyper competition, this is a buyer's market and candidates behave like B2B buyers. So think of them as buyers, okay? They're buying the opportunities that you are offering to them or trying to sell to them. Now, these are three people here. This one's a software engineer. I love this one here, busy businesswoman Barb. She's in sales. And she's a warehouse manager, Camilla, okay? But start thinking about buyer personas, okay? Start thinking about what is it that engineers are significantly different from salespeople and warehouse managers, okay? But think about them, put it in your shoes. Start from there, and then work out, you know, what is the type of story that what is it that we can offer them? What is the type of story that, you know, they will find your jobs, but what is it about your organization that's going to interest them, okay? What is it about your culture? What is it that, break that candidate journey down into the 3 blocks, okay? Awareness, education, and consideration, and just brainstorm the type of content that you have that's going to interest them at that level, interest them at this level, interest them at that level. And then put it together in a plan, okay? But start from the buyer persona because you're going to need a buyer persona for software engineers, you're going to need a buyer persona for financial people, you're going to need buyer personas for each of the things, okay? So, I'm just going to show you some stuff around Dialog Semiconductor. This was called Wake the Dead campaign because the data came out of the ATS. This was silver medalist, previous applicants. And because it was in the ATS, it was dead. Okay, it hadn't been updated. They didn't know where it was. They couldn't, you know, because they didn't know where the people were, they'd moved. Because they were all applicants, the chance 50% of them will have moved somewhere. So because they didn't know where they were because it wasn't updated, they couldn't segment them properly. Okay, and because they couldn't segment them properly meant they couldn't tell a personalized, engaging story to them. Because what drives engagement is relevance and resonance. So we talk about if you're selling onions to an onions buyer, show them onions. Talk to them about onions. Show them really exotic onions. Show them like banana-shaped shallots, okay? Don't show them vegetables. Because vegetables is wallpaper and it will just turn them off, okay? So wallpaper or vegetables is post and pray, batch and blast. Exactly what Carly shared in the first slide, okay? So get it out, bring it up to date, enrich it, and then put together a personalized nurturing campaign against it. Okay, so we just built this campaign that was properly segmented and was geared to delivering content to those people at this stage, those people at this stage, and those people at this stage, and those people at this stage, okay? So it's personalized not only in terms of first name, in terms of organization, in terms of language, in terms of individual skill set, but it's personalized based on what they're interested in, based on their stage of interest. Because obviously you tell a different story to people that are here that are just learning about the organization. Okay? So what's happening with Dialog? Where are they going? What does the CEO say? And you tell a different story to people that are here. What would it be like to work there? What does the coffee taste like? And the different one that are here, which is why you should work for us. Okay? And this was just 4 weeks. And they got 342 conversations, another 363 stacking up behind that, and 5 hires estimated at the moment out of dead data, okay? It's not hard to do if you've got the tech and you think about it logically, okay? It's not hard to do. So it's got to be personalized in the way that it's delivered as well, and that's about, it's got to be optimized for the smartphone, okay, because it all happens on the smartphone. Now that's not responsive, okay? Responsive takes kind of desktop websites and chunks them into the mobile, so you get this horrific little 3 menu down there, which is what all the links are about, okay? It's got to be delivered so that on a smartphone, the content that you want them to engage with is front and center, and it loads on an edge of network connection, okay? Otherwise, it's a poor candidate experience, which is a poor personal experience. So what you also want to be able to do as part of this is identify, as a result of all of that, who is it that wants to talk to you. So this is all pre-conversation, this is all pre-apply, this is all pipelining. Okay, these people have not stepped forward and said, I want to talk to you. But how do you identify the ones that you can zero in on them? So here's some examples of, this is just a screenshot of the 3,000 software engineers for Dialogue, and this was taken yesterday. So we can see that Modrag, who's based in Munich, he's on 41 points, and he was active yesterday at 10:21. And then the day before that, Naresh, who's based in Phoenix, was up at 31 points, and he was active the day before. So automatically, just from a quick scan of people that were active yesterday, they're the people to talk to. And what you want to do is you want to go and look at what have they engaged with, how did they get to that number of points, okay? So this is Modric, okay, and what we can see here is that, so how did he get to 41 points? And what stage is he at? Now we can see that, I mean, his history goes all the way down here, but the bit where he really woke up was when we talked to him about why you should join Dialogue Semiconductor, and then he really started back, he started reading about the industry, he started reading about the code of business conduct, he started to look at careers again like that. But in here you can see he's also really interested in the wireless future. He's read a lot of stuff about the future of wireless connectivity in the semiconductor industry. That's what you talk to him about. You don't talk to him about the job that you've got, you talk to him about wireless connectivity and where the future is. And hey, Modric, I could introduce you to Alex, who's our specialist in this area, because that's his stage of interest. All the other stuff around, he's already learned about, Dialogue, he's already learned about the company, why he wants to, he already knows the opportunities, he can see all of that. Interest him with his stage of interest, okay? So, and these are the sort of type of responses that you get, very, very specific, detailed responses that you will get as part of this campaign, okay? So, I'm just going to check that. So just in terms of Carly's additional points on that, so don't make that rookie recruiter's mistake. We know that standard blanket messages through LinkedIn don't work. They get inundated with missed messages, so that's not going to make your message stand out. I mean, the best tech talent is actively taking steps to reduce their digital footprint online. They were just withdrawing, okay? Research and talk to them about what they're working on, other interests. It can take a bit more time, but you'll have more valuable outcomes even if they aren't looking for a move right now. You've already done better than others. Add them to your database and set a reminder to check with them in coming months. Okay, so sources of info and tools. So Carly said that it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the different platforms and tools that are available, so you've got to find something that works for you and get good at it. So get yourself a good email finder. Contact out Email Hunter or Snovio. Use Recruiting as a site scraper. It's got Boolean search, which will give you the profiles on LinkedIn, Stack Overflow, and GitHub. So there's absolutely no excuse not to get personal with all the information available. They're people, talk to them like you would anyone else. Be real, don't oversell it, as they'll see right through you as they reach out to the community and get the loads out, okay? So there's some of the tools that she mentioned. We put on our kind of tech partners, there's a whole ton of stuff up there which is tech that we consider to be cool that will help you, particularly on personalisation in this pipelining area. And then the last slide I want to show to you is that if you're solving the personalisation challenge that you have now, i.e. your database is up to date, you're engaging with it regularly, and you've got it segmented, then you're already going to be compliant for GDPR going in. All the data that you already have in your ATS. Okay, so Accenture have got 8 million people in their ATS. It costs them somewhere between $10 and $100 to get those people. So that's between 80 and 800 million pounds worth of data, dollars worth of data sitting there that they're going to lose unless they can personalize it. Thanks very much.